Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Snyder. I'm the Director of Teacher and Principal Support at the Nebraska Department of Education. And I'd like to thank you for joining my esteemed colleagues and me as we talk about one of the newly revised Nebraska Principal Performance Standards. I'll have my colleagues introduce themselves now.
Hi, I'm Ellie Fields, and I am a former high school student from Harvard Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Michelle Helt, a third grade teacher in South Sioux City and the 2018 Nebraska Teacher of the Year.
Hi everybody, I'm Julie Downing. I'm a staff developer with ESU 13 in the Panhandle.
Hello everyone, I'm Mike Teon. I'm an associate professor in the College of Education at the University of Nebraska at Kearney.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Tawana Grover, the superintendent of Grand Island Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Charity Labrie, a principal with Grand Island Public Schools.
The newly revised Nebraska Principal Performance Standards will serve as the foundation for a much larger educator effectiveness system that focuses on a shift in how Nebraska supports their principals. The themes from the revisions are equity and data-based decision-making, which should create opportunities that become visible in a common expectation, a better understanding of common expectations, a better understanding of the knowledge and skills necessary to be effective teachers and principals, the commitment to support for staff, and a focus on family and community engagement. So thanks everyone for joining us as we talk about the principal standard, continuous improvement. And Charity, since you're the principal of this crew, we'll have you go ahead and start talking about it while I share my screen.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind when thinking of continuous improvement is always looking ahead to gauge our progress towards the final product of all students and staff achieving success in our learning environment. Continuous improvement includes the process of celebrating successes, as well as making necessary adjustments to propel the school community towards the goal.
The first thing that comes to mind when I hear continuous improvement is early out school days when our teachers come together for teacher in-service days.
The standard reads, the principal, as an instructional leader, leads a continuous improvement process that results in improved student growth and achievement, enhanced student and staff well-being, and greater school effectiveness.
Indicator A states that an effective principal, in collaboration with the educational community, develops, implements, monitors, and revises a school improvement plan that is aligned with district, state, and federal guidelines and goals.
This indicator focuses on the importance of not only creating a plan, but clearly identifying how the plan will be monitored and how revisions will take place in the school community when goals are not being met with the current plan. Making adjustments throughout the year is key to the school's success in meeting the desired outcomes. It's imperative that schools look not only at the data that shows the successes of students and staff, but also the data that shows where there are opportunity gaps.
As superintendent, it is imperative to establish a clear vision and strategic plan that creates alignment for continuous improvement at the school level. The school level continuous improvement plan must work in concert with the district's goals by addressing the specific needs at the school.
Through planning, leadership, support, and advocacy, ESUs work with schools to support their mission, vision, values, and goals. Often, ESU staff are partners in the school improvement planning process and provide helpful services and training to support schools in their goals.
Indicator B states that an effective principal adopts a systems perspective and promotes coherence among improvement efforts in all aspects of school organization, programs, and services to align with the school's vision, mission, and goals.
An effective continuous improvement cycle requires ongoing direction, support, feedback and reflection, and adjustment opportunities. I find it most effective when there are established checkpoints throughout the year where the superintendent can meet with their leadership team to discuss progress toward improvement goals. Principals should be expected to respond to predetermined questions and provide evidence of their leadership moves and impact on teacher and student performance.
One struggle many principals face is weeding through the goals that are not priority and goals that do not provide the highest leverage for school improvement. Saying no to a strategy is just as important as creating and/or supporting a strategy. Principals must help to make school improvement come to life in the classroom. Orchestrating your staff's effort to move the organization towards the common goal of student success is challenging at times, but always fulfilling. Effective principals create a culture of application, so the plan becomes a reality in each classroom, rather than just a piece of paper that sits on a shelf.
Indicator B makes me think of continuity within a school. Students learn best in an environment that provides consistency. When a principal promotes coherence throughout a school, students and staff will thrive. I appreciate a principal who aligns, supports, and ensures all improvement efforts align with our school's vision, mission, and goals, which means they are a living part of the school culture. And this is what brings improvement to real life in the classroom.
Indicator C states that an effective principal implements a school-wide documented professional learning plan that is developed based on staff input, aligned to the school's continuous improvement processes, and evaluated and adjusted based on participant feedback and student outcome data.
Utilizing staff input, classroom data, and the school improvement plan is important when creating a learning plan to identify staff strengths and needs and improve instruction for all students.
Professional learning is an embedded component of continuous improvement. Prioritizing high-impact professional learning serves as guidance and expectations for staff and manages the best use of time and physical resources. It is also valuable for principals to be strategic and somewhat savvy as they collaborate with school leaders and other organizations, such as the regional service centers, to allow for some personalized choice to support individual teacher growth needs as indicated by student performance data. All roads of professional learning must lead to better outcomes for students.
Principal preparation programs must incorporate concepts of collecting and analyzing data in student performance, student, school, and community characteristics, and stakeholders' perspectives as a means towards implementation of an effective professional learning plan. Teachers are a critical resource for principals and leadership teams as they work to connect building goals to student results and feedback from classrooms to target areas for improvement.
Indicator D states that an effective principal manages the process of change within the school, communicating the need and process for change so that it is fully understandable, consistent, and transparent, and utilizing the collective efforts of all members of the educational community.
My role as the superintendent is to help principals see and communicate the why, then the how, by relying heavily on data as the rationale and a clear vision as the roadmap. Principals must be thoughtful in their plans for change and inspire change by bringing stakeholders along in the process. As partners, teachers, parents, and students should feel their voices are heard, their interests are acknowledged, and their roles are valued. Change is not a one-stop memo. Change happens through the development of relationships and trust built on clarity, transparency, engagement, and accountability. Leading change can be difficult. It is my role as a superintendent to ensure that principals have support and development opportunities in this area.
Relying on a school's mission and vision is a springboard for success around this indicator. Reviewing data as a school and understanding areas of improvement and root causes of learning gaps will help staff understand why the change is needed and how the indicated change will impact student and staff successes, and address student and staff strengths and needs. The challenge is supporting teachers as they navigate new implementation. Teachers need support and development in order to engage in change. Effective principals must create an environment that promotes innovation and meaningful reflection on practice, and use support and development to enable teachers to feel safe when exploring and implementing change. Effective principals seek the same type of reflection for themselves and model this process for their own professional growth.
Change is a constant variable. ESUs work in relationship with school leaders to navigate change, continuously keeping an eye on best practice and supporting the interests of the community, school, leaders, and students. All educators need support from colleagues they trust. As leaders, we need to be aware of the different needs that our staff have and serve them with the input they give us as they learn, unlearn, and relearn to be effective. A new teacher will likely need different support than a seasoned teacher, just like a new principal may need different support than a seasoned principal. Sometimes this calls for coaching, sometimes collaboration, consultation, or even calibration depending on the situation.
Indicator E states, an effective principal, in collaboration with the educational community, aligns the school's curriculum and high-quality instructional materials to district and state content standards to ensure cultural responsiveness and high expectations for student learning.
Cultural responsiveness and high expectations begin with personal awareness and the willingness to develop that awareness in the educational community. In addition, the principal collaborates with teachers to ensure high-quality materials are utilized, as well as best practice teaching strategies are implemented and supported effectively. When clarity exists about the learning and task implementation in the classroom, it levels the playing field for students while keeping expectations high, regardless of any barriers in students' personal or academic experiences. Being in classrooms and observing experiences is critical in order to provide the necessary support of staff to meet high expectations aligned with the vision, mission, and learning goals.
Superintendents are responsible for creating environments where cultural responsiveness is prioritized and is embedded in daily decision district-wide, that high quality instructional materials are representative of these diverse backgrounds and inclusive representation of all students. Culturally responsive curriculum correlates with providing a guaranteed and viable curriculum. As instructional leaders for equity, principals provide increased access and opportunities for students to connect to the content as they aspire to meet state standards using culturally responsive resources.
An effective principal works with members of the school to ensure they are able to grow in their own abilities of competence and awareness, and the school's curriculum meets the district and state standards. An effective principal then establishes a trusting environment and facilitates the critical conversations that are needed to meet the current needs of every student, every day. At times, these can be very difficult conversations focusing on personal and school biases that have led to the marginalization of students. These are the types of conversations individuals naturally shy away from. However, an effective principal knows the value and necessity of such conversations and provides a safe space for deep reflection and focus on change moving forward, all without judgment, but with the expectation change will occur. When a principal invites educators and other members of the school community to be a part of the conversation about cultural responsiveness, it allows for many viewpoints and ideas to be heard, once again allowing for a greater academic experience for students and success for staff.
Principal preparation programs have the opportunity to support future principals in developing an awareness in themselves about cultural bias and competence by teaching cultural responsiveness and high expectations as part of a systematic process of leadership, which is imperative. Principals need to see their work with cultural responsiveness and high expectations for students as a process and not as a product. And it can set the stage in this area by allowing principals to be reflective and adaptable in various buildings and districts.
Indicator F states the effective principal creates and sustains strategic partnerships with diverse groups of community leaders, keeping them informed and seeking their perspectives on issues affecting the school.
Our goal is to help principals develop a consistent approach to share information and create avenues for two-way exchanges so everyone is kept informed and engaged. From the district level, we provide principals with platforms, tools, and strategies to share about what's happening in their schools and avenues to gain the perspectives of the school community. Helping principals establish partnerships where stakeholders can be involved allows the stakeholders to better understand what the school is trying to accomplish and oftentimes creates opportunities for partners to become vested in the work at hand, which is ultimately the objective we want our principals to achieve.
Creating systems of input is vital to meeting the needs of the school community. It is beneficial to gain a perspective outside of the school community in order to monitor how effectively students are equipped for future jobs. A principal must be willing to have difficult conversations when feedback is taken from multiple groups and perspectives and use that valuable feedback to create a plan to address the priority needs of the school. If a principal is not vulnerable and willing to hear from different sources, a school will never progress to their maximum potential.
Principal preparation programs must provide experiences for leadership candidates within our programs to see how effective engagement of diverse families begins with understanding the local structural, attitudinal, and cultural barriers to their participation. It is important for leaders to be strategic in their efforts to increase access for individuals and in reducing the impact of the barriers that may exist. Members of our communities often find our school buildings intimidating, and while not intentional, perception is reality.
Indicator G states that an effective principal, in collaboration with the educational community, monitors the achievement of each student group and other sources of data to make informed decisions about student learning, teacher effectiveness, and school improvement.
Principals must take a hands-on approach to student data and work to understand prevalent themes, as well as how the school improvement plan addresses the underperforming student groups, and also what can be learned from those student groups who are showing growth and achievement. Creating partnerships around instructional approaches that are working and could potentially work for underperforming groups is another key role the principal must play to maximize staff.
When addressing the strengths and needs of each student, we want principals to utilize multiple sources of data to make informed decisions, and this data collection process spans beyond test scores. There are so many holistic facets of students' school career, such as connectedness, background, social emotional learning needs, attendance, office referrals, classroom observations, parent input data, and more that contribute to a principal's understanding of focus areas for continuous school improvement. When principals are able to see patterns across data sources, systemic issues can be addressed to promote greater school-wide success.
ESUs can assist principals by helping them with data analysis. As Dr. Grover shared, there are many kinds of data informing decisions. When I think about working with principals, sometimes it's nice to have another set of eyes on data. Effective leaders seek perspectives from their community, staff, and students in this important conversation. Every voice is worthy. My favorite quote about this kind of leadership comes from Covey. He says, "Leadership is communicating another's worth and potential so clearly that they can see it for themselves."
Indicator H states that an effective principal coordinates collaborative school-wide learning communities that meet to reflect on professional practice, examine student data, and identify strategies directly applicable to improving instruction and learning.
Expecting dedicated collaboration time among teachers may call for negotiation revisions, policy development, redistribution of time, or complete changes in practice to make it happen. Principals need time allocated in their schedules for teachers to establish professional learning communities for a focused, student-centered, collaborative discussion to determine the best steps to advance student learning, and it is our job as superintendents to give it to them.
Reflection is key to school success. Principals must create systems for staff and students to reflect on data and identify areas of adjustment and what can be learned from areas of success in order to improve instruction for all students. Principals must create a process for collaboration so staff can learn peer-to-peer, as well as a process for intentional professional learning.
As a teacher, when my principal participates in my grade level learning community, I feel valued and trusted. When a principal takes a seat at the table, not as a supervisor, but as a member of the team, the learning community becomes stronger. A principal has the opportunity to view the instruction of students outside my classroom and grade level, allowing for a discussion around valuable insight into professional practices and strategies of which we may have been unaware. Another powerful part of having a principal as part of the learning community is the opportunity to dig into data without judgment and look for patterns. Once patterns have been found, we can look at implementing change, perhaps not only at the grade level learning community, but system-wide if necessary.
Indicator I states that the effective principal monitors the effectiveness of family and community engagement efforts and regularly uses results to inform school improvement efforts.
Providing a process to welcome feedback, as well as valuing input from families, is key to a school's success. Families have a different perspective and can offer insight into school improvement efforts. Principals must be willing to receive information from families in order to best serve the school community needs by ensuring systems are in place to gather this data and that families have a venue to share honestly.
Schools are often known for doing different types of parent outreach. The challenge sometimes for principals is really taking a data-driven approach to understanding how effective our engagement efforts are. As we look to better serve all of our students in a more equitable manner through our principal standards, principals have to go deeper to see who is missing in the engagement endeavors. A few wonderings to consider. Are we transparent with our data? Which students are represented or not represented in the data? What results are yielded from our engagements? Are we really reaching all members of our school community? Are we satisfied with 60%, 70%, or even 80% engagement? Are we innovative to find alternative approaches to determine what effective engagement looks like in our schools today? Principals have to be willing to constantly ask the question of themselves and their staff, what can we do better as a school for learning so our children can do better as students for learning?
After listening to this conversation, I realized how important it is for principals to lead continuous improvement for themselves as well as their staff. I hear teachers say on a regular basis, we're in the same boat as you. We can never stop learning or improving. And I would like to think the same thing goes for principals. I personally think that when principals and or teachers take continuous ed classes, they are modeling that they are lifelong learners. I do feel like if this is done, the students will benefit from the connection to teachers and principals as learners. I also think it is very important for educators to understand that even kids who do well in most areas can still struggle in certain classes, and adjustments need to be made by looking at all student outcome data. If you notice that the majority of the students are lacking in one common area, then it should be time to reevaluate and make the necessary adjustments in order to ensure the success of all students. It's difficult for me as a student to talk about the necessities of a principal's job as I don't interact with them on a daily basis, but I feel students can learn a lot about their principal's motives through the eyes of their teachers.
I'd like to again thank my colleagues for being a part of this endeavor today. And if you have any questions about this standard or any of them, please drop me a line at this email. Thanks, everybody.